Back live now to Hope Ford on the ground with Chief Shields.
In Minneapolis were appalling. The district attorney's response was worse. People are upset, they're angry, they're scared, and I get it. They want to be heard.
How is your department reacting to this? We've seen pretty passive right now, but we've also heard on the loudspeaker that they do want to open up the road for traffic.
You know what? My takeaway is there really isn't traffic. The city's largely closed, so if people want to stay in the street, all right.
Hey. Chief, is there any sort of curfew in place tonight?
Is there any what?
Is there any sort of curfew in place tonight?
No.
How do you feel about what's happening here between the officers and the protesters?
You know what? Folks are upset. They want to be heard, and I think they have a right to be heard. And you know, my thing is I don't want anyone to get hurt. I don't want to see property damage, but to be heard,
we love the protest. I personally love the protest. Right. I would like to be out here helping, but unfortunately I have a job. All right, so I'm trying to mediate.
Yeah.
Right. You know. All right, so there's new groups coming. Don't give them a hard time. They really don't know who's who at this point.
Okay.
Okay. We know that y'all not, and I just iterated that. So the communication's there.
Okay.
So it shouldn't be a communication barrier where anybody gets aggressive or upset at this point.
Okay. Right.
Cool. When the exciters come back, y'all just need to distance yourselves from the exciters, because those people are not here to protest.
Right.
Those people are here to steal Gucci, they're here to steal products and put money in their pocket and sell stuff.
Yes.
That's what they're using this agenda for. I asked one guy. Listen to me. Trust me, we're here. One of the guys couldn't even tell me who the guy y'all was protesting for. He didn't even know who George Floyd was. He wasn't even from Georgia. Right. All right. So we know that it's infiltrators within with a different agenda.
Yes.
Right. So if y'all can distance yourselves from those guys, the guys that are yelling and trying to fight. Right. There's another guy here. Guy was trying to pray for somebody. He didn't even want the guy praying. Right. We don't want those guys in the midst of the protest. Right. We want justice. We want peace. Right. We want all equality for everybody. Mm-hmm. Everybody here has families. They have kids. I worry about my kids just as much as y'all do. All right. I am a landman, so
all we was asking though is for y'all to kneel.
I asked you a question, bro.
We just asked for y'all to kneel.
Just hold on, I'm trying to communicate.
Let's talk right now. We listening.
Some people don't understand. Yeah. So we have to acknowledge that some people don't understand. So y'all guys understand. So y'all can help us. Just distance the protesters. The peaceful people stay with the peaceful people. Whoever wants to excite.
We push them out.
From there.
Okay.
We'll do that.
The objective is for y'all to protest and keep peace in the city.
Yeah.
Right.
We don't want nobody hurt, nobody harmed.
Right.
Everybody goes home safe and the purpose was made.
Okay.
Thank you, man. All right, thank you.
Here's a live look once again downtown Atlanta, and Hope Ford is live for us down there right now. Hope, what can you tell us from your vantage point?
Okay, so a lot of people are leaving from back at Centennial Olympic Park and Marietta Street because that curfew. We all just got the alerts on our phones. So a lot of people are heading down this way, and they're coming up on the National Guard. As we know, the National Guard has that line on the other side of Centennial Olympic Park, and the National Guard said, "Y'all keep the party going. Y'all keep playing music." So that's what people did. They all started dancing out here. Some of the National Guard members have joined in to dance with them. So this is a completely different vibe. There are people taking pictures with the National Guard here right now. They're taking pictures, and they're all dancing together again. So a completely different vibe from probably what Brendan is seeing on the other side with that police line and those protesters at the beginning. But these are all the people that are kind of leaving and coming up on this line right now, and decided, you know what, let's just have a dance before we head out for the night as that curfew approaches. So that's what we're seeing right now. The rain didn't stop them today, so now they're coming out here. It's kind of funny to see some of the National Guard members trying to jump in, but they're not getting the dance yet, but they trying out here. But you see kids out here, you see all races out here being represented, and they're just trying to have a good moment. They're having to have a good time out here. This has been going on probably for about 25 minutes now. They moved these vehicles in. Those vehicles you probably see on the other side. They moved those in, and they said, you know what, we're going to move these in because we have to, because that curfew's approaching. But we're going to go ahead and dance with you guys if you keep the party going. And so that's what you're seeing right now.
70s and 80s. Looks like there's a little electric slide in there at the same time.
Oh, so we actually have
the National Guard tries to.
If you guys can hear us.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you guys hear us? Yeah, so we actually have the woman who put this all together, Tyson. If you could come over here for a second. You said that this is your speaker and this was all intentional.
Yes, it was. We came out here on Sunday, my cousin and I, and the atmosphere was so heavy. People were screaming F the police. It was very, very dark. Protesters were screaming at each other, and we kept saying, what can we do to change the energy? So every day we've come out here with that wall over there, and we have a different theme every day so people can write out how they're feeling. So today the theme was if we were all treated equally, and people write what they feel. Yesterday is we want our government to know, and we bring out this music every single day, and a few people were dancing the first day. We had a little bit more, and now today we have the National Guard dancing with us. I'm trying not to cry because this is all I wanted. From the day one, this is all we wanted to see, is real unity, because I know we're all hurting, and I know we're all in so much pain, because I have an 18-year-old son that I fear for his life every single day. But this is what it's gonna take. We can't fight hate with hate. We can't. So this is all we wanted, and I'm so happy right now. I'm beyond joyful right now. So happy.
Thank you so much for talking to me. Thank you. What's your name?
Amisha Harding.
Thank you so much, Amisha. Thank you. I appreciate you talking to us. So now you kind of get the. So and right now they just. So as you're seeing all this, fun, you got to remember that curfew's coming up. So the lady you just heard from, I just saw a National Guard member walk up to her, take her aside, and go, "Hey, just so you know, in a few minutes we're gonna be putting up those shields. And when we start to put up those shields, we have to get people out of here. Right now, there's a lot of kids out here. They don't want to start, having to disperse with tear gas or anything like that while there's children out here. And so this fun moment you're seeing right now, it's going to change here once it gets closer to curfew, because they want people to go home. They don't want anybody out here to get tear gas. They don't want anybody to get hurt. So I see her heading over to the microphone right now. So this is probably going to go on for a little bit longer, and they're going to start to shut that down. So that way you can see their fist bumping everybody out here. It's a completely different vibe. And I'm glad our cameras are right here to witness this part of the protest in this moment. She's making that announcement.
And you know what, Hope? Can you hear me?
It's yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, so I just want to say this is one of the most encouraging moments that we have seen since the protest started days ago. Just seeing the National Guardsmen get in a line, doing what we used to do, what I used to do back in the day with the electric slide, mixing it up with the folks who are protesting as well, showing that we are all human beings, and we want the same thing. We want peace, we want justice, and we don't want violence. And that actually was displayed in the video, the story that you and Tyson just captured right now. And it's encouraging. It really
and while relations between protesters and law enforcement seems fraught, one Minnesota National Guardsman says he's trying to spread a message of unity. On Monday, during a protest at the state capitol, Lieutenant Colonel Sam Andrews told demonstrators he respects their right to protest. Take a look.
I'm sorry for the loss of George Floyd. All right, my heart hurts as a human being. Last night when I talked to the group out here who peacefully assembled, they peacefully assembled here to have their voice heard. And what we're asking tonight is for the same thing. One of the things that the crowd asked for last night was to have the officers and the Army removed, right? So we're off. So for the men and women and children that came out last night to have their voices heard, we heard it. We heard it, and we're going to stay back behind, invisible, so that you can't see us. Is that okay? Yeah.
And Lieutenant Colonel Andrews joins us now. Lieutenant, thank you for being here.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for inviting me on the show to continue the conversation.
It's our pleasure. So I heard you telling those protesters that you wanted to fade into the background. You wanted to become invisible to them. Why do you think it's important for law enforcement to do that right now?
Ma'am, for not just law enforcement, but really for the Minnesota Guard, we're in a period of transition. So We certainly have started to make better choices about how we represent ourselves in the community in terms of lowering our physical presence in the community, as well as lowering the type of equipment that we're wearing in the community. And what that allows us to do is transition really our roles and responsibilities back to local law enforcement.
And you've been out there witnessing these protests. What has it been like for you? What interactions stick out to you?
Yes, ma'am. So, I had some really pretty tense interactions on the 30th of May. I took my helmet and body armor off to engage the crowd, to show them that I wasn't afraid that they were going to hurt me, even though that there were hundreds of guardsmen and state patrolmen in the area, and then listened and conversed and shook hands and asked people to respect the property of the Capitol and respect us and respect one another, and they did. And we listened the next day when the peaceful demonstration came back. They asked to have their voices heard, and we removed our presence from the front of the Capitol.
There's so much debate now surrounding exactly what you're talking about, how law enforcement should be handling these situations. And one of the things you mentioned was the equipment you were wearing. One of the big issues at stake is whether or not officers should be in riot gear, whether that incites even more tension. I wonder from you, what's your advice to fellow law enforcement officials on the front lines right now?
Ma'am, it really depends on the crowd, and it really depends on the individuals that interact with the crowd. The ability to reach across the line and shake hands and introduce yourself starts that conversation. It's really, it's impossible to do the next thing before you introduce yourself. I found that tremendously successful. Just literally take your glove off and your helmet off and stick your hand out and introduce yourself. That really speaks volumes about restraint and legitimacy and de-escalation. When you know someone's name, when you introduce yourself, you can actually start the conversation. You can start to listen and hope that you're able to hear what the person standing in front of you has